It's spring week 3 in Apothecaria. This is a rest period. And Mouseye, Mistress Sweetwater's familiar, tries to explain the concept of here yet not here. Hey everyone, welcome to Drawing Expressions here on YouTube. I'm Parz. So yeah, we are now in spring week 3 of Apothecaria, the episodic story that I'm writing. And yeah, wow, it's been quite the ride so far. And today, I think, really expands on a couple of things that were getting hinted at before. But before we get into all of that stuff, let's just work through our beginning things. So with that, we have the reminder about guidelines. They bend, they don't break like rules. You do something that violates a guideline, they just bend and they don't really care. So, guidelines. Okay. In the planner section today, it is the usual, where we're going to be looking at the story and how it was put together, with a little bit of a twist this time. This time the story is going to come first. We're just going to give her a go, see how that works, see if I like it better or not. And then in the pantser section, we're going to talk about turning a solo RPG into a community experience. And it's all directly related to this day's episode. So yeah, it's all going to progress from there. Before we get into that, it is time to breathe and stretch to get our minds and our bodies ready to write and think creatively. So I'm going to invite you to take a nice deep breath in with me. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale in. And a little stretch. Nothing big. And I'm going to take an extra second or two to do a little bit of extra stretchy, because when it feels good, why stop? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to read the story now, narrate it. Of course, there is the link below if you want to read along in the blogger post. And otherwise, sit back, relax, and here we go. Rainy days. A part of me knows they are absolutely necessary to keep things green and lush, and they tend to keep everyone indoors, so there's far fewer chances of anyone doing anything that would end up bringing them here. For me, it meant lingering in bed, then getting a comfortable fire going. A warm, dry room against the wet chill outside is just lovely. It was a good time to reflect on the past couple of weeks, to spend some time coming to terms with myself and my witchy role, and getting to know Mouseye better. I'd made an actual small house on my mantelpiece. It wasn't much, a few sticks, some string to keep the pieces together, and the little things I'd gathered for it. So maybe house was too much word for the lean-to it actually was, but on the other hand, it was a structure. I'd made it intending for it to be a house, and most importantly, I'd made it. Pride of ownership, pride of craftsmanship, and I should add, pride of potionship. I poured myself a tea, then set a second cup under my lean-to. House! My lean house. And I guess that's a thing too. I did have, again, a bit of money in my pocket, but to be able to afford much more in terms of tools or upgrading of equipment, I'd have to live a bit lean for a time. No matter, I was used to that sort of living. Going from having no money and having little concept of how much things cost, to having money and seeing exactly how much things cost, back to having a little money, it was all a lot to take in. But I'd bought a hive, an investment I know will pay dividends well into the future, and my next purchases, when I can finally afford them, will do the same. Maybe I didn't know the value of a piece of silver, but I did know the value of basic math. And speaking of math, and things not adding up, nice segue, I think, there's the matter of the smooth croak in my pocket to feed the weird chest thing. I know I hadn't put it in there, so there was only one way it had ended up there. Mouse Eye. How had he known I'd need it? After I'd taken some time to just sit and think and do some deep breathing, I asked Mouse Eye about it. He was laying under the lean-to, house, eyes half closed, appropriate for being under a half-house, when I asked the question. His eyes didn't open as he responded. Getting it into your pocket was simple. You didn't even notice the spoon you walked around with all that day. As to why I put it in there, you know how the bees and I talked and we understood each other even though we don't speak each other's languages? It was like that. I just knew I had to do it. So I did. And I think you experienced something of the sort with the bees. Same basic thing. That was something. Maybe it had something to do with the land? Did it somehow know things ahead of time? Or maybe Mouse Eye did? I knew there were bound to be surprises related to the cottage, but this was more than I'd anticipated. Is that how you knew I'd be fine with the Sphinx? Mm-hmm. So what about inside Hero's Hollow? Did you know that was going to happen? Mouse Eye opened his eyes. I know little bits here and there. I don't know everything, especially when they go wrong. But you knew I'd be okay down there, right? You knew I'd be safe? He closed his eyes and didn't answer. After a minute, I murmured to myself, I'll take that as a no. The silence felt awkward. I knew I had a tendency to get angry, or snappy, or snarky. I decided to surprise myself, if no one else, with some gratitude. Mouse Eye, you are amazing. You can see bits of the future and, as much as you can, you help me and my patients. Thank you for everything you do. I watched as Mouse Eye peeked up a bit, pressed his front paws together in what I think could be called a prayer pose, wiggled his whiskers, and said, You're welcome, mistress. And then, instead of settling back down, he looked more attentive. This was promising. I decided to ask another question. When you disappear, say in the air balloon with Madcap, you said you don't always stay with me, so where do you go? To his credit, Mouse Eye didn't answer at first, but instead just looked thoughtful. It's hard to describe, but I'm glad you asked because it's something that should be shared. I knew well enough to allow him to speak in his own time. This felt momentous. Let's talk about this cottage. The old witch lived in it. Maybe will again, maybe not, but in the past, she lived here. I nodded, but had no idea where this was going. So you came here. You were formerly living in a woodcutter's cottage. Following so far? I didn't see why I wouldn't be, but okay, I nodded again. What do you think would have happened if somebody else had moved in? I had no idea. Apply to be an apprentice? Go back home? Maybe work with Francie as a domestic? Mouse Eye nodded. What if you'd never successfully made it here? Like the wagon was attacked by bandits. Or you had to stay home to take care of your ailing father. What, ailing father? Was he okay? No. I don't know anything about your father or your mother for that matter. I'm just asking what would have happened to the witch's cottage. I was drawing blanks. It would eventually attract a witch. It's a witch's cottage. At some point, a witch would live here. I nodded slowly. Here's where it gets tricky. What if, at roughly the same time, all the possible people who could live in the cottage did live in this cottage? Tricky. He did say tricky, but he didn't say impossible. So I did. Well, sort of. Because while you are here and experiencing your life with me, as time goes on, there are other witches who are experiencing their lives with their familiars, all at the same time that you are. Unlike most of them, you've just been told that they also live in their cottages, which are their versions of this cottage, and this cottage is your version of the cottage. See? Nope, not at all. Okay, how about this? I was at one point and for a very short period of time in another version of this cottage. I know my face was a complete furrowed mess. So much for a relaxing day. Metaphysics was what I'd really intended. And I brought something back with me, but I didn't know how to tell you who it's from, so here. Once again, a surprise came out from behind the lean-to. A letter, a small folded-up letter, from someone named Pip. It said, "Hi, I'm Pip. I'm living in this cottage. It's a bit lonely sometimes. Do you want to be pen pals? Elaborate box for yes, a very plain and much smaller box for no." It was signed, "Your new bestie Pip." And then a PS, "Please check yes." And the note was covered in hearts. A new bestie? Living here but not here? I looked at Mouse Eye in amazement. This person is someone who... Wow, so... Okay. Can I send a letter back? Okay, so time to grab a bit of paper and a pencil and... Sorry, almost forgot. Here's this. He pulled a reagent I'd never seen before out from where the letter had been. As I looked at it, I asked, "Is there anything else back there that I should know about?" "No, not yet anyway." Not yet? Well, I suppose letters can come through there. Anyway, the reagent, a plant, certainly. Maybe it's... Oh, yeah, it's called rosemary. Good for relaxation and something called branching out. I didn't know what to do with it. It isn't in the witch's notes. How? Mouse Eye to the rescue. He saw my confusion. "I think the old witch didn't know everything there is to know. You may find this useful when you need to treat someone who has an affliction not on the list." Huh. She maybe didn't know everything? The book isn't all there is to witching? I think the ground dropped out from underneath me. Luckily, I was still seated, so the ground was close at hand. The world swirled around me. Other witches here, but not here? Witches sending me letters from here, but not here? My hand brushed past my teacup, newly filled teacup. Mouse Eye, with eyes closed and head resting on his paws, was still up on the mantelpiece. Surprises indeed. "Mouse Eye, if I write a letter to Pip, will you deliver it?" I expected one answer, but didn't receive it. This is what I wrote. "Hi, Pip. Call me Sweet. You make lovely hearts. I hope you don't mind if I don't make them too. I'd love to be your pen pal. Tick mark in a yes box. And yes, it is lonely being a witch, but a little less so now that I know that you were living here, yet not here in the cottage." Mouse Eye tried to explain it to me, but I still don't get it. "Your best bestie back, Sweet." And that is the end of that episode. Okay, that was a short episode, but still, let's get in a little breathe and stretch. Here we go. Breathe and stretch. Okay, breathing in. And a little stretch. Okay. Perfect. Spring week 3, this is a rest period. Let's talk about how that episode came together. When I do an episode, there are 3 items, basic items, that go into the mixing bowl of creativity. A mixing bowl of creativity. One is the guidebook prompts that we pull using cards. The second is what was written before. The third is imagination. Okay, so the prompts for today were none. We had no prompts. So Alicia and I decided that we wanted to do this to consolidate some things that we had done in the previous weeks. And so that is what we are doing. So yeah, let the story develop and flourish without providing yet more prompts, more outside help to kind of get things going. So yeah, so no prompts were harmed in the making of this episode. Okay, so let's talk about what's been written before. Where are we now? What brought forth the episode? So number one, we knew that Mousei clearly had some way of seeing the future, or at least a piece of the future. So writing that in was, and having that acknowledgement was an important part of the episode. And it is imperfect. And so going into future episodes where we have an imperfect knowledge of the future, it can lead to some things, and they'll come up from time to time, I'm sure. Okay, so that's that. The spirit house, or also what's now being called the house's house, is it's becoming a symbol of a spirit or an energy that's collaborative. It has the beehive instantly making honey. It brought back the rose, the wild rose, instantaneously. It allowed the wild rose to grow instantly and then to heal instantly, and to have this sort of cohesive energy that is the house, that is the grounds, and that Mistress Sweetwater has now become a part of. So it's all part and parcel with that. And how does this play into the old witch and whatnot? We don't really know yet. In future episodes, we may very well find out. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to bring up about this episode is Mistress Sweetwater nearly ran out of time on her last cure, right? So last episode, because of a mistake she made, was not paying attention. So she had a series of epiphanies that were just starting to form, and so this kind of fits in nicely to that, of some aha moments and realizations that things are different than how she might have originally conceived them and conceptualized them. And then we also have the imagination piece, right? And imagination is actually going to play a very big role in this because there's no prompts. And we're still working with things that were written before, but there's still, there's a lot of room to expand and explore. So number one thing to think about is Mousei. Mousei, he's a mischievous little devil. And so is he going to be forthcoming when he's being quizzed about where does he go? The answer is probably not. He doesn't like, he likes to watch, but he doesn't like to reveal. So we're going to play with that. The conceptualization of the here yet not here. So how this started out and how the imagination can really work with it is Alicia, shortly after I wrote Finding Mousei and starting to work with him, in her story, he started to show up. But in her story, Mousei is female. So, okay, so we've got a female Mousei who's in Alicia's story and is, starts to be a mischievous little thing and is in her pockets and doing little things here and there. And so, and she told me that this was happening, and actually she's like, is this okay? Right? I don't want to mess up your story with what I'm doing in my story. And I was like, no problem. What you're doing in your story and what I'm doing in my story are, they're two different things. And then she wrote a note. And she sent it to me. And she's just like, I just inspired to write this note to you. And I don't know if you're ever going to get it. I have no idea how you would get it. I have no idea how this is going to work. Is this okay? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. We'll just work with it. It's just another prompt. We can do this. So I had been holding on to this note for a couple of episodes, and having this ability to, in this particular episode, to have no prompts, to not be going around anywhere, and taking the time to talk with Mouse Eye opened up this ability to expand on the concept of, now we have the here yet not here, which is part of the house. So the house now, or the cottage, is not just the cottage in my version of Apothecaria. It's also the version of the cottage in Alicia's Apothecaria. And if you can do it once, if you can say, well, that's a version, well, then are there not other versions? Are there not, in fact, for everyone who has ever played Apothecaria, for anyone who is playing Apothecaria, and you're in your cottage, you are in a version of the cottage that is occupied by every other player. And like a multi-dimensional cottage kind of a thing. Like it's like a little portal between dimensions in sort of that type of way. And so, and I just had this epiphany that this is what I was going to write in and sort of open things up. So it's really cool because this has allowed Alicia and I to sort of trade notes back and forth with her witch, Pip, and my witch, short name Sweet, trading notes and like, oh, this is what's happening in my world this week, what's happening in yours, and being able to exchange little things and, sometimes bigger things. And we're going to see that in subsequent episodes that this starts to develop. And it's a very fun thing to do. And so having this piece of imagination that was able to take that, synthesize it in, and then work it into the story and allow it to be an element that is basically going to forever be there. I really love it. In the note that I sent back, one of the things that I wanted to do was to lean into things that that I enjoy, and to lean away from things that I don't enjoy. Drawing hearts on a piece of paper, I don't enjoy. That's just not my jam. So I will be doing other things as time goes on, things that I do want to lean into. And she's doing the same on her side. And so again, things can be very, very different, and then they get introduced coming back the other way. And then if we choose to incorporate them into our stories, or how we choose to incorporate them, is entirely up to us. Like, because if there's something you don't want there, and like it gets lost in the mail, or it gets misdelivered to somebody else's house or whatever. There's always ways around not having things show up that you really don't resonate with, or you don't want them to be there. Okay, time for the pantser section, and the discussion item today is turning a solo game into a community game. You'll wonder how that's going to happen. So yeah, one of the great things about this particular episode is that without really intending to, I turned my game into a community game. And Alicia did the same. We sort of did it, like inching baby steps back and, forward. But yeah, that's where we ended up, is that we have multi-dimensional cottage with all of these different witches and all these different familiars and all these different goings-ons. And you could always argue it's not just Apothecaria. It could be anywhere at any time. If you are a player in a particular journaling solo roleplay game, you are certainly invited to be part of the here yet not here. even if you're here yet not here, happens to be on a spaceship circling Zircon 5, all of a sudden, there's a interdimensional portal that happens to be in your shuttle bay or something, whatever. But yeah, it can all be there. So it is a very, very cool thing. This is something that I've been trying to do. I was trying to do for a good long while when I was doing lives, and to say, that we can have a writers community, and we can have collaborations, and we can work with other writers. The one of the default assumptions amongst writers, and I see it a lot on Reddit and whatnot, and then within like famous writers, they have their quotes about, you feel a thing and you sit alone and I put pen to paper as you express yourself and your feelings. I've always contended there were ways to bring writers together and allow them to work together, have fun, not necessarily in a collaborative type of way. So like Alicia is not partially writing my episode. I am not partially writing Alicia's episode, where they're all firmly under our individual control. We are just introducing possibilities and prompts about things that we may like to include in our story from the other person, and like passing notes and cute little things or whatever. And it's a fun little additional aspect. It's a fun additional prompt that is not part of a guidebook. It's not part of a table or anything like that. It's like this random thing that just shows up, and how you choose to work with it is entirely up to you. And I think it's a blast. We've been doing it now for a little bit, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It is something of a fourth wall break in a way, where things are getting slipped in. Anyways, the bottom line for all of this is it's all guidelines, right? So if there's something that you want to send out, go for it. If there's something you want to have come in, absolutely take it. And if you don't want it, then just politely reject it, or deal with it in whatever way you choose to deal with. So as I said, if you'd like to participate, if you'd like to be part of the community, and you want to send me something, I'm going to put the email address down there, or check out our link tree. That's also right there. And the link tree also has the email link in for us. Thank you so much for being a part of the journey, for listening to this episode. And I hope to see you again in 2 weeks' time. Until then, bye for now.